Breaking news right off the top of our Tuesday lunch hour Ravens live stream. It is April 30th, the last day of the month. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison. Glad you're here. This live stream is brought to you by our friends at GEHA. That's Government Employees Health Association. And before we even tease what's coming up, which will be a jam-packed next hour for sure, including a special guest that we'll tell you about in just a bit. This just came down the timeline literally minutes ago, which is why we are running 6 minutes behind. For those of you who like to keep track of where we're at on that, the Ravens have picked up outside linebacker Odafe Oweh's fifth-year option ahead of his fourth NFL season. Of course, this is a former first-round pick from 2021, and now in 2025, Sarah, he's going to be worth $13.251 million. As Jonas noted on Twitter and as we've covered in recent weeks, the sack production for a former first-round pick hasn't been there in terms of what you expect, but the development, at least signs of development, have definitely when it relates to his technique. I think last year in particular, working with Chuck Smith, the pass rush guru, who's their outside linebackers coach, getting ready for his second season on staff. I know we both feel like this is the right decision and something that we expected.
Certainly something expected. To Jonas's point, while the sacks just haven't been there, which is really what has always been his knock since coming out of college, because he didn't have a lot of sacks in college. The production wasn't quite there. But that doesn't mean he's not disrupting the game. And he's in the game a lot. And I just feel like the Ravens need more pass rushers, not less. And it wouldn't shock me if the Ravens try to already have gotten an extension with him on like a cheaper rate. That could possibly still happen if he has a breakout year. You could always go back to the negotiating table and get him in line. So, but this is easily a fair rate for a pass rusher. The Ravens have been spoiled over the last 2 years with how much they paid for Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy got his raise. Odafe Oweh is getting his. And, it's just the right move. It's the right move. And it's something that we've been predicting for, really since the season ended.
So there you have it. That's just fresh off the table right now. Odafe Oweh will be under contract in Baltimore through at least the 2025 season. So glad you're with us. Now let's kind of reset and let you know what we have on the table for the next hour or so. We'll begin with Rashod Bateman, Ravens wide receiver, who, Sarah, how do you even explain the wrinkle that we learned of through Jeff Zarebek yesterday? I mean, this really, to the headline's point, this does change quite a few things. So we'll kind of dive into the new wrinkle of Rashod Bateman's extension that we hadn't previously known about. We'll also talk a little bit about just various things. We'll have a special guest that we'll tell you about in the second half of the hour as well. But let's begin with Rashod, because as Jeff noted on social media yesterday, some context on Rashod Bateman's extension. We know that came within the last couple of weeks. He's going to be in Baltimore through the 2026 season. Not today. The news on Odafe came out 2 days before the deadline. So teams have, for 2021 first rounders, they have until May 2nd of this week to either pick up or decline fifth-year options. And so we were all kind of wondering in recent weeks, well, what's the decision on Bateman? We didn't think like that was the case. Like, we didn't think he was going to get picked up, but it was a little bit confusing in terms of.
Well, in this one, so we were right about Odafe getting picked up. We were also right about Rashod Bateman not getting picked up. However, the reason for Rashod Bateman not getting picked up is different than what we had initially thought. We thought he was eligible. Turns out he wasn't eligible.
Right. And we're looking at those extension numbers that haven't been confirmed. Well, they have been confirmed. I'm sorry. And they're really spot on with what Spencer Schultz had within the last week or so. So we'll discuss those in just a bit, but we're looking at those figures, right? And we're like, wait a second. That's just, wow, that's like super cheap. Anyway, Jeff notes that Rashod, as you just said, he wasn't even eligible for his fifth-year option on that rookie contract because he's only been credited with 2 accrued seasons. That's a result of him starting last season's training camp on the did not report list. And then Jeff goes on to cite language included in the collective bargaining agreement, and that's, quote, a player shall not receive an accrued season for any league year in which the player is under contract to a club and in which he failed to report to the club's preseason training camp on that player's mandatory reporting date. So Bateman would have been a restricted free agent next year had they not agreed to this extension, Sarah. It's notable on a number of levels, but let's go back to last summer. Remember, he's kind of recovering and rehabbing from his Liz Frank injury, and he shows up late to camp, and he's on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. And we're all thinking, oh, that makes sense. This information, though, begs the question: was Rashod aware of that language in the CB?
No way.
Right?
No way. Because he showed up 2 days later from training camp, and this was millions of dollars, like the tardiness of showing up cost him millions of dollars. And because let's put it this way, here we are discussing, should the Ravens pick up the 5th-year option for him? And for him, because he was picked ahead of Odafe, he would have been more than that 13.2 that Odafe is going to get. Rashod would have been worth 14.3.
Yep.
Okay. So we're all wondering, should they do the 5th-year option? If they did, it's that 14.3. If they didn't, which is what we were predicting, then fine. If he balls out on his 4th and final year of his contract, then he gets to go hit the market unrestricted and get paid. But because he didn't get that accrued season, now he's a restricted free agent, which changes everything for Rashod.
Yeah.
Everything. Because even if Rashod balled out, right? We've had a lot of guys on the show the last couple of days. Kadri, Jacoby Jones, tons of people saying he's going to eat. He's going to eat. So even if Rashod had a, let's say 1,200-yard season, 12 touchdowns, even if he did that in this 4th and final year of his contract, because he's a restricted free agent, the Ravens still would have had the rights for him with his tender. Yeah. And we'll get to the numbers of what that tender would be. So we hear that he fired his agent, moved on. Because whether the agent overlooked it or Rashod overlooked it or it was an advice given to him, that's a massive overlook. Because it could have been that it's like, well, I'm going to start in the PUP anyway. Why should I rush back to be there, when we're not really even practicing yet? Maybe that was the thought process. Or maybe he was who knows why. But if he had showed up 2 days later, then next year he wouldn't be a restricted free agent. Bobby, as a restricted free agent, he loses all leverage when it comes to 2025 and beyond.
It's worth noting, as Spencer did on social, that he parted ways with his agent last summer, right around the timing of all of this. It's pretty clear, you would think, that Rashod's known about this for a long time. Just because we're learning about it now through Jeff's reporting doesn't mean that. I mean, this has been known. This has been known within his camp in all likelihood for the better half of 8 months, right? 8-9 months. So tough pill to swallow. Imagine, but to your point a second ago, like, imagine if he had a career season last year, all for naught.
He'd all for naught because he'd have all the leverage in the world. Ravens would have none or very little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess what this brings us to, because when Spencer, who by the way is getting himself a little reputation for getting news, because he's now had several things with Derrick Henry, and now this, where he was, not only did he have the news that the extension was coming, but he had the news on the money. And so Field Yates and I saw Garofalo over at NFL Network both had it. So according to Field Yates, when you factor in the 2-year extension, Bateman's going to be set to earn a base value of $15.25 million over the next 3 seasons. He has some escalators in there for 2026 of $1.5 million. So it brings the max of the deal to $16.75 million. You had Spencer on the show. That's essentially where he was at, right? With the numbers.
Right. I mean, smack dab. He came back to follow it up like somewhere between 15 and 17 after it was
Boom.
3 years for 15. So he was smack dab in the middle of that. You can find him on social at on Twitter at Ravens for Dummies. But yeah, so here you go again. This just validates what we were thinking last week, right? Like, wow, this is economical for the team. Oof.
Yeah. And so well, it's economical for the team. And under our previous understanding, thinking that he was eligible for the 5th-year option or to be an unrestricted free agent, we were asking, we said this at some point. I don't know if it was during the draft weekend when we did 12 hours of live streaming or if it was before then. Everything's all melted together. But I remember saying on the show, 5 years for $15 million almost felt too good to be true from the Ravens perspective, because it was like, why would Rashod do that? Well, now we know. Yeah. Rashod had no leverage. And so here's what's super important. So Cole pulled up these numbers from over the cap. So because as a restricted free agent, the Ravens would have had a choice next year to either put the 1st-round tender on Rashod or the 2nd-round tender. Okay, the 1st-round tender would have been worth $6.9 million. 2nd-round tender just under $5 million. And then the right of first refusal tender, which means, you can put a tender on him, but other teams can try to sign him, and then you can either match that or, refuse and let him go elsewhere. So that would have been $3 million. So I agree with Cole. Bateman likely would have been a 2nd-round tender, which means if somebody wanted to sign him, they would have had to give a 2nd-round pick to the Ravens. Huh. Okay, cool. Okay. So at that 2nd-round tender, he would have been just under $5 million next year, which he's averaging $5 million per year for the next 3 years. Now it's starting to make sense. So if you put this all together, under the 2nd-round tender, he would have gotten between this year and next year. So he was due another $2.2 million this year in base salary. So that would have been new money for him. Plus the 4.9 would have been new money for him in 2025. So that's $7.1 million over the next 2 years, or about 3.5 per year. So now, though, with the Ravens adding in that 3rd year at the base, we're talking about $15.25 million in new money. Plus he has a chance at escalator. So they're saying, hey, if you have a great, 2 years, we'll get you that extra money the 3rd year. So they kind of sweeten the pot. So for Rashod, he's staring at 7.1 or 15.25 in base, plus a chance for more. So now it's all making sense why Rashod would do this deal rather than, because it was like, what? Why is he doing this?
Right.
I just cannot believe that oversight. And now it makes sense why he moved on from the agent and all that. That's just for being 2 days tardy. It cost him big time.
What if he was the guy? What if, I keep going back to that, what if he was the guy in 2023? Like we all hope he can still become. We're not confident in that, but we all think that there's a chance. I don't know.
Well, what if he's the guy this year?
What if he's the guy this year? What if he's the guy over the next couple? I mean, look at this. Just to go back to this, remember the 5th-year option that he was eligible for until reporting late last summer was $14.3 million. Fields numbers, which Spencer had last week, base value of 15.25 over the next 3 seasons. Sure, there's some other areas like Field goes, you can get that up to 16.75. But think about that. The 5th-year option for Odafe and Rashod's 2025 seasons, Odafe just got his for 13.2, and Rashod's would have been 14.3.
Bro, this isn't even like I tweeted yesterday. I had a tweet yesterday that was talking about the Ravens draft strategy at wide receiver. And basically what I tweeted was that the Ravens at wide receiver are trying to do what they literally do everywhere else, which is build to the draft. Okay. So now we've got 4, I'd say of the top 5 or 6 receivers have all been drafted. You've got Zay as wide receiver 1, Bateman, he's being dubbed by the team as wide receiver 2. They complement each other very well. Zay, the sudden, quick, inside-outside guy. Rashod, the silky smooth route runner, intermediate routes. Then you add in Devontae Walker, the deep threat, and then you've got, if he makes the team, Tylan Wallace as depth and the return guy. Now, obviously, they have a couple free. They have Nelly in there, and then they have Deontay Hardy in there. Okay, but they're trying to build through the draft, this wide receiver room, like they literally do everywhere else. So somebody had replied back to me saying, why are they said this is not a scary group, and I was like, oh, I agree, this is not a scary group, but what the Ravens are doing is they're gambling on their guys. And somebody said, well, why gamble? Why do they gamble here? They don't gamble on defense. And I'm like, yes, they do. That's how they build the defense. Like literally Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, Justin Matabike, Odafe Oweh, everybody but Roquan and Williams is how they've built up the defense. And they're gambling on Trenton Simpson over re-signing Queen. They're gambling on Adisa Isaac and Ojabo instead of re-signing Clowney. They're gambling on Wiggins instead of re-signing Darby, right? That's literally how they do it. But it doesn't feel like a gamble on defense because they hit so often on defense.
Homegrown.
Homegrown. They do the same thing on offense with, like, you think back to all the offensive linemen, like they've paid Stanley, even though that hasn't worked out. Stanley, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, you can go on and on and on. That's how they build. And it doesn't feel like they gamble there either because they hit on the offensive line. They hit at tight end. They hit at running back. They've now hit twice in a row at starting quarterback. They don't hit on wide receiver, so it feels like more of a gamble. Anyway, I'm bringing this back around to Rashod and the money. Okay. Yeah. So I said they're gambling on their wide receivers. But this money right here is not a gamble. For 3 years, $15 million, we just paid. Let me tell you what a gamble was. The $15 million in 1 year for OBJ coming off of injuries. But it didn't feel like a gamble because it was OBJ and it was his name. But it turned out, other than him getting Lamar Jackson in here, production-wise, the gamble didn't pay off. And so the Ravens are still gambling with going with their drafted picks rather than going out and getting a proven name. But this is not this money is not a gamble. $15 million over 3 years when OBJ just got paid $15 million in 1 year.
AJ Brown just got 32 APY.
Yeah.
Now, okay, that's AJ Brown. It's not in the same stratosphere as Rashod, respectfully. But gamble's not even close to being the right word.
Not money-wise.
Savvy.
Not money. Yes, it's savvy, not money-wise. But, people want to see them go out and find the equivalent of Roquan Smith in the wide receiver room.
Yeah. And it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened.
Potentially it could with the development of Zay, right? Potentially it could based on what they see in Devontae. But unfortunately, from a homegrown standpoint, it just has not happened yet.
I'm telling you, because the Ravens like to pay their own players, Roquan is the exception to the rule, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if Zay continues the trajectory that he started, he will be the first wide receiver that's paid at top of the market value.
I think that's very realistic. Very realistic. Before we get to the veteran conversation and also bring in our special guest, I got to tell you a little bit about GEHA. And off the top of my head, did you give our special guest the guest link?
I did. Can we just say his name now? Haloti Ngata is coming on pretty soon.
I was following your lead.
In about 4 minutes? 4 minutes? Yeah.
Sarah booked this one, so I was following your lead.
I did send it to him. Hopefully did he respond? Anyway, go ahead.
Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, somebody who lit the internet on fire this past weekend. Haloti Ngata will be joining the show in 4 minutes from now, so be on the lookout for that. Our guest booking has been on fire lately. Let's go.
Seriously.
So this live stream is brought to you by our friends at GEHA. That's Government Employees Health Association. From unexpected medical expenses to growing your family, GEHA has you covered with a health plan for every season of life. GEHA has offered medical and dental benefits for more than 87 years, and they are designed to meet the needs of federal employees and retirees, military retirees, and their families. And with over 2 million members and counting, GEHA continues to serve those members and families who serve all of us every day. The Government Employees Health Association, a proud partner of the Baltimore Ravens, and your friend in federal since 1937. You can learn more by visiting GEHA.com. Here's what I was referencing a minute ago. One of the 3 receivers that we at least knew through reports visited back in March, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the early part of this month, in Deontay Hardy's sake. But in Josh Reynolds and Michael Gallup's sake, it was right after the first frenzy of free agency that they reportedly visited the Ravens facilities. And so now the former Cowboys wide receiver, as we learned last night, is planning to sign a 1-year deal, which I think has gone final. I think I saw that today from the Vegas Raiders. A 1-year deal worth up to $3 million. That's another veteran that is not available. Josh Reynolds signs elsewhere. Deontay Hardy's brought in to kind of be your Devin Duvernay plug-and-play replacement. There are a bunch left still out there, OBJ included, but another one is off the board, Sarah.
Yeah, and so both Reynolds and Gallup were those big body wide receivers, contested catches kind of guy.
Yep.
Not sure how Devontae Walker changes things in the Ravens' minds, but I still think there needs to be another veteran in this group. And here's what's interesting, though. You're going to start seeing some signings happening in Baltimore with these free agents, because starting yesterday, which may be the reason why Gallup was signed yesterday, starting yesterday, free agents that sign with a new team do not count towards the compensatory pick draft formula.
Mm-hmm.
So now the Ravens are really open for business, right? And so as this Twitter account, 49ers and NFL, at 49ers Sports, they kind of named some of the big free agents out there. And we're going to dive deeper into this. We've got some stuff after talking to Marlon and Jacoby Jones on who they want the Ravens to sign, or who certainly piqued their interest. But here's a long list of some of the bigger names available that will not hurt teams' compensatory picks formula. There's tight end Logan Thomas, tight end Robert Tonyan Jr., offensive tackle David, how do you say that? Bakatari?
Yep.
Probably butchered that.
Bakhtiari.
I feel like you've said it a few times. You've got
That's
it.
Aaron Rodgers' guy right there. That's his right-hand man.
You love Aaron, don't you?
I'm a big fan of Aaron.
Yeah.
I know he's a polarizing figure, but
yeah, he is a polarizing figure. I just liked, as much as I love watching sports, my guilty pleasure in the past has been The Bachelor, and I really enjoyed the year that his younger brother was on The Bachelor.
Amazing.
But his younger brother didn't have a good relationship with Aaron back then.
I think he's estranged, which is kind of
Aaron is from the whole family.
I think there's a lot going on there, yeah.
Oh,
which gives you pause when you think about, it does. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Lots of offensive tackles if you still wanted some. DJ Humphries. And by the way, I think a lot more offensive linemen are going to be coming onto the market soon once these teams get a look at their rookies. Offensive lineman Andres Piet, Connor Williams, Dalton Risner, and then the wide receiver market, which is I know what our audience wants to hear about. Tyler Boyd, OBJ, Michael Thomas. Look at this. Defensive tackle Calais Campbell still out there.
Yep.
Hassan Ridgeway, edge Emmanuel Ogba, Yannick Ngakoue, I know that one. Justin Simmons. Now, also look at this safety. I think safety is where the Ravens could add Justin Simmons and Micah Hyde. And then cornerbacks, the Ravens are good there. Ravens have plenty going on there.
And I just pulled up just before we bring in our special guest, here's a list on Spot Rack, all the wide receivers, some of which you just mentioned. So Michael Gallup's off this list, but some names on there that perhaps the Ravens would consider taking a look at. So we will, of course, like you said, we're going to review that more in the coming days, but we'd be remiss if we didn't bring in our guy right now. And Sarah, you mentioned it. I'll let you do the intro here. You put on your guest booking hat for this one. I'm looking forward to bringing him in.
Well, listen, we all love this guy, Super Bowl winner. But he renewed our love with the way he and his sons went to the NFL draft in Detroit, and they announced, I believe, the 3rd round pick, Adisa Isaac. So, boy, did it have Ravens Twitter and social media on fire. So, without further ado, here he is, Super Bowl champion Haloti Ngata. How's it
What's
going,
up?
Haloti? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh man, long time no chat. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's
Where
been
are
a
you
while.
at these days? Are you still in Baltimore, Owings Mills?
No, I'm in Utah in Park City.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where my family. Well, not Park City. My family's down in Provo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
BYU alum. I know.
yeah. I know, I know, I know. I still feel a little bit hurt that you weren't there, but listen, you took your path and it led to good places. So,
For sure.
all right. Well, Bobby. Should we play? And Haloti, do you know Bobby?
We have not met.
No. What's up, Bobby?
Great to meet you, Haloti.
You too.
Yeah.
Sarah really wanted Kingsley, by the way, in the draft, but he went elsewhere.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
The BYU product. But anyway, should we begin with you kind of lighting the internet on fire this weekend?
Sure.
Let's do that. It's just in case those of you out there haven't seen this gem yet from Detroit, Haloti and his boys.
Detroit, back up. I'm here with my sons, Sam, Max, and Colt. They were all born in Baltimore, and they were all raised to say one thing. Steelers suck.
All right, how'd you come up with that?
We just I don't know. We just wanted to do something different. And everyone was kind of going up and announcing, and I asked the NFL people there if I can go up with my boys, and they wanted to have a little fun, and I was like, "You guys want to say Steelers suck?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So
this was all on the fly then.
yeah, it was kind of like right before we walked out. It was like, all right, I'm gonna just say, this is what I'm gonna say, and then you guys just say Steelers suck afterwards, and then they're like, all right.
That's perfect. It's funny because when you first said that, you were like, all of them were born in Baltimore. I was like, me and Haloti are very similar. The Ravens both brought us to Baltimore, and all 4 of my kids were born in Baltimore too.
Nice.
And we've moved out here. We're in Columbus, Ohio, and my oldest is in high school now. And Haloti, he's unafraid. Like it's Cleveland, France here, Bengals and Steelers. Like they're all here. And
Yeah.
he will take his Lamar Jackson jersey and he shows up to school, win or loss. He's there on Mondays and he's
Love
ready
it.
to take all the flack.
You got to
All the
rep.
flack.
You got to rep where you're born.
Absolutely. So what are your boys up to? Are they into football, rugby? What do you got them doing?
Yeah. So spring now is my oldest is in track, and then my other two, my second and third son, are in rugby, and then they all do football and basketball when those seasons come up, and then summer kind of travel around.
And how old are they?
14, 11, 10, and then I have a 3-year-old son that was born here in Salt Lake City, though.
Okay. So you have 4 sons, no little
4
girls.
boys. No girls. 4 boys.
And you couldn't convince the youngest to get involved in Detroit? Not quite yet?
Well, yeah, he was a little young. I don't know if he probably would have ran all over the stage, and I would have to chase him rather than making announcements.
Yeah.
So, Haloti, let's transition over to the Ravens here. Lots of changes on defense, but I kind of want to start with Justin Madubuike along that defensive line. He just got a massive deal.
Love it.
Okay, you love it. Tell us like your thoughts on Madubuike and him just being around to be the leader for the next 5 years? Is it?
Yeah, for sure. Like the awesome thing about Madubuike is like I feel like we were kind of opposite. Like I came in as like a big run stuffer, and then became a pass rusher, and he like very good pass rushing, and then like is now dominating the run. So it's like it's kind of like his game has kind of gone the other way, other than my career. So like it's kind of different in that way. But I just love watching his the way he plays and his relentless pursuit, and it's just awesome. I just love that he got a big contract, and I love that he's wearing 92, and it just looks right on him. So it's perfect.
It kind of reminds me of having him and Roquan behind him, even though you guys, like you said, have a different style. And now it's him and then Roquan.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Haloti and Ray Lewis 2.0 here.
So yeah, for sure. It's when you can get that camaraderie, that communication and like trust in each other. Like Ray will sometimes just say, "Stay front side." I'm like, "All right," and then like even though it's like not the play I'm supposed to be doing, I know Ray's going to cover what I'm supposed to be doing. So or like he'll be like, "Stay backside, stay backside." I'm like, "All right." So I'll hear it and just know like Ray will cover me front side or backside depending on what he's seen, because obviously he's standing up and can see everything, and I'm just down. But like they will have that like trust and communication where they can kind of just do things without even needing a coach to tell them what to do, and it's great. And then with Ray to add, I mean, you kind of have Hamilton, by Roca, so that's like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have that whole all three levels are going to be covered by amazing, great leaders that are just going to continue to make that defense great.
Haloti, do you make anything of sort of the late blooming development that we've seen from guys like Justin and Brandon Stevens last year, and perhaps Odafe Oweh, who just had his 5th-year option picked up like within the last hour, maybe
Queen.
perhaps, yeah, PQ. I mean, do you make anything of, being that you've been there, done that, of late blooming developers?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of was in that same boat. You just got to follow those leaders, and those guys had great leaders in front of them that were there and then moved on. Like I had Trevor Price, Kelly Gregg, and those guys moved on after, when I became the older kind of vet guy, and then got the big contract. So it's like those guys had the same thing with Calais Campbell and all the other guys that have continued on, and so it's just they just done a great job with listening to their leaders, following their example, and then taking that on and making it their own, and then now continuing that tradition of Raven defense.
Haloti, you played with Zach Orr, right?
Yeah, I actually played with him for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What do you make of his meteoric rise in coaching now, the
That's
defensive
awesome.
coordinator?
I love it. It's he was was he drafted? I don't remember. Like he was a late
was
draft,
undrafted, I think.
undrafted. Yeah.
Yep.
I think I was with him for 1 year, and then I left, or 1 or 2 years. But yeah, just I just remember him. He's just fast guy that can, great special teams player, and then ended up playing some defense. But it's great to see guys that you played with, or even against, that are now coaching and making a name for themselves in coaching.
What is it? How did the Ravens like it? It astounds me that no matter who leaves, they've had so many different defensive coordinators through there. Obviously, you've lost a ton of stars, such as yourself, and then Suggs, and then Ray and Ed and all that. And somehow Ravens defense continues to be like at least top 10. Last year it was like fighting with the Browns for number 1. What how do the Ravens do that? What do you think?
A lot of it, I think, is just the leadership, guys coming in and figuring out the play like a Raven, and understanding the way we play defense, and then continuing, like having that pride and that want to continue that legacy of Raven defense, and then passing it down to the younger guys. I've never had a group of guys who are so unselfish and willing to help you and coach you and do whatever they can to like help you be better so that the team is better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's continued on, and it obviously kind of shows, because like the guys are, like you said, the defense is still really good, and no matter who leaves, it continues to be Raven defense, and a lot of it is with the leadership, and it just trickling down to the younger guys, and when those guys become older, it kind of continues on, and then I think a lot of it is the pride of like not wanting to let that Raven legacy defensive legacy down, and so. Hats out to all the guys that are kind of there and wanting to continue that tradition.
Haloti, is there any chance that you could shift your screen just down ever so slightly? We love looking at the biceps, and
Or
they're still
the
raw.
opposite
Sorry, up.
direction.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry,
There we
I
go.
meant to say up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The
There we go.
biceps
There
are
he
still
is.
looking like you could.
Yeah, I know. It's
contribute today,
biceps. I'm
but,
like, let's put him next to Matt at BK and let's go.
they could definitely still contribute today. But we always like to ask this question with sensitivity out of respect to Ray, but it's become very clear with Roquan's emergence and emergence from the jump that there are parallels between the two, whether it be on-field play, whether it be personality, whether it be impact. So again, asking this very sensitively, do you see those similarities between the two of them?
Definitely, there is similarities. I love that Ray actually sat down with Roquan and they've had some chalk talk and film talk and stuff like that, and Ray passing on some of his tricks or advices and to help Roquan. But a lot of that you could see that when Roquan was with Chicago that he had a lot of that in him. But I definitely see a lot of similarities with Ray and Ro and the way they play and the leadership and the relentless pursuit to the ball, sideline to sideline, and it excites me for the future because just knowing that Roquan's there and knowing that I can trust the defense is going to be great because Roquan is in the middle, conducting the whole thing and leading that group, and I can trust that he won't let that defense down or let that whole defensive play come down because he's there. So everyone knew when I was playing and Ray was there, or even before I was there, that the defense was going to be great. And I feel that same way with Roquan, where I just know and trust that the defense is going to be great because of Rose in the middle.
Hey, just thinking back to what we started off of with the Steelers suck, and which is true, but somehow they stunk last year and still made it to the playoffs. What do you make of the AFC North as we last year? It was by far the toughest division in football. I mean, it usually is, but in the past, when you were around, it felt like we could always count on 2 wins against the Browns. And now that's not the case. We split with them last year. Burrow's over there in Cincinnati. And now perhaps the Steelers have found themselves a quarterback between their 2 guys that they brought in, Russell Wilson and
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields, yeah. So this is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, what do you make of this division?
I love it that there's going to be a lot of competition and that there's not going to be a down week. But you're right. Us having 3 teams in the playoffs last year with Cleveland, Steelers, and us, it's okay, Cincy, when Burrow is healthy again, it's what's going to happen? And so it's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, winning the division is awesome, and you can brag about that a little bit, even if you lose to the Steelers twice.
Mm-hmm.
Still suck because we won the division, but it's just it's going to be fun to watch. Cleveland defense is, they're showing that they can be a great defense and win games, and Cincinnati with Burrow, once he went down, it kind of their whole season went down, and then Steelers with their their quarterbacks and they have Patrick Queen there now to see what he can do with their defense.
By the way, if that happened on your watch, how would you guys be treating Queen right now?
I would tease him and make fun of him for a little bit just to, but I mean, they went after him. You
gotta get paid, right?
Yeah, they went after him, and they're the ones that wanted him the most, and so I guess you go there. But I don't know. I don't know if I could ever see myself in a black and gold uniform, and I don't know if I could ever go there. But
and there's a couple of them right now too. Deshaun Elliott's going to be in the secondary as well. So
right.
Geno Stone went to the Bengals.
Yeah,
all these traitors around here,
right?
Yeah, I still would rather go to Bengals than Steelers. So
See, that's really interesting though. That just shows, kind of reminds everybody the era in which you played in, right? Because in recent years, especially since I started covering the team, it really has been this especially with Burrow, of course. It to me, it's felt like Cincinnati, Baltimore has more juice, but we know the more storied matchup is the one that you're referring to.
For sure.
There's still more hate for Steelers though, even though the Bengals have been more competitive. I feel like in Baltimore there's still more hate for Pittsburgh.
I feel like I needed to make another spark. That's why we had to do that in the draft. Because I feel like there has to be more of a hate for each other. I feel like it's not. We've become a little more friendly than we need to be, and so there needs to be a little more hate for each other.
Agreed. There we go.
So in other
Bringing it
words,
back.
in other words, your strategy was I'm reigniting the best
Reignite.
rivalry in football. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Reignite that fight with each other for sure.
Let's go.
That's fantastic.
Hey, I want to get one offensive question in because you talked about like you're excited because Roquan's there, right? Like you have the leader, all the pieces can change, but like Roquan has the standard.
Yep.
On the offensive side, Lamar Jackson. What do you make of him as like a leader, as like a light to the offensive side, and what everything that he's capable of?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 2-time MVP. It's like it's that Lamar is going to get it. He's going to cover the offense. At the same time, like I'm glad we drafted some O linemen because we lost a lot of O linemen. So I know we got weapons for sure, but obviously if Lamar can't have that time, or if he feels like he has to scramble all the time, then he's not as effective. So as long as those young guys can come in and protect Lamar, I think Lamar's going to have another amazing year.
Well, speaking of weapons too, like if you could put on your strategizing hat as a former defensive tackle, like how do you try to stop this offense? Because you have your 2-time NFL MVP, you've got this new and improved backfield with King Henry that could have the speed as early as we don't know what his timeline is, but Keaton Mitchell's going to have the speed at some point to kind of give you a little bit of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the outside weapons. They've got the new rookie, and you've got one of the best, deepest tight end rooms in the entire game. So what are you possibly doing as a defensive tackle?
So honestly, when you look at that offense, is everyone has to just do their job, and then you can't like a lot of times you can't be playing Derrick Henry all the time because Lamar is going to pull it and then possibly RPO it. So you never know. So it's like everyone stays home, do their job, and then once you see that ball, you go after it. So like it's like you can't really. And no, it's going to be tough. I feel like, but you just got to do your job to the best you can, and when they do that option RPO stuff, you got to just stay home and find the ball when you see it and then go after it.
All right, let me ask you this. So still bitter the way the season ended against the Chiefs, because the Ravens could have beaten them. They absolutely could have. What going into 2024? Give me one of each. Like the thing that most makes you feel like the Ravens can get over the hump and get past the Chiefs, if first they survive the AFC North and then try to get past the Chiefs. What most gives you confidence they can do that? And what's the one thing that you're most concerned about as they try to do it?
The most confidence and the most concern?
Yeah.
That they can get over the Chiefs.
Yes.
Defensively better against the Chiefs. I think we'll be better defensively. Offensive line wise, that kind of worries me a little bit against the Chiefs. I guess for the season, like I said, like you just gotta make sure those guys can gel and give that time to Lamar and protect him for what he needs. And Lamar doesn't need that much time. He needs a little time just to do his thing. But that's the thing that worries me the most. Is it's just our O line. But I think we'll be better defensively this year, which is crazy to say because we lost our DC and we lost some guys. But like I said, I just have so much trust in Rowe and the things he can do. And Hamilton's going to have another year under his belt, and he's become a dominant safety. And just love the way he plays. And then you have Madubuike at front that's going to lead the front and continue that dominant, performance, with him in the line. So I just have more confidence in our defense this year.
Yeah, that is. I was going to follow up, say why the defense because of all the losses, but I hear you. It's faith in those leaders and Hamilton coming on and Roquan. Okay, I like that. And I think the offensive line stuff is self-explanatory. So I have one more question, Bobby, before we close it. Did you have any more?
One more for me, one more for you.
Okay, you go first.
Your former teammate, you mentioned him earlier on, Zach Orr, and you just mentioned Mike McDonald, one of the game's great minds who got, a head coaching opportunity within the last couple months. What's the biggest challenge to doing something that you've never done before in calling plays for Zach?
The thing that's great for Zach is he's been around the team and he knows the guys, and so I think it's just him understanding the OC who he's going against. That it's going to be a chess match all game, and so they're going to run things at you early, and you just got to learn to adjust. And I think Zach Orr just learning the adjustments as the game goes on, that he needs to make adjustments and not just sit and think it's going to come back, or it's going to come back to you when you don't make adjustments. So I think that's the biggest thing is just your guys, make your adjustments when you need to.
All right, here we go. I'm going to put you out on this. What is the best route to getting a Nada back into the castle? You coming back as a coach, or us drafting one of those boys who hate the Steelers? Which way can we get a Nada back in the building?
Yeah, I mean, I think drafting one of them is going to be the quickest way. Maybe
Okay.
I'm loving this dad life and Ubering them everywhere and
Yeah.
getting to watch all their sports, and I love it and enjoy it, and I want to see them. I want to see them grow and try to help them be great citizens in their communities when they become adults. And I think drafting the Nada will be the fastest way to have one back in the castle.
When's going to be our first chance? So you said you have a 14-year-old, so maybe we're talking.
Sam's a freshman.
So okay, so he's a freshman, and then he's got to have at least 1 or 2 years in college, yeah? Or do you want to go all the way through? So we're talking like 2030 here?
Hey, NIL, Haloti, he could do well for himself leading up.
That's true.
Don't rush him,
for sure. Make sure he's But 6, 7 years. You never know.
Okay.
What are his measurables right now as a frosh?
He's 6'2", 190.
Oh,
yeah.
He's 6'2".
Yeah. People thought he was taller than me. They're like, "Is your son taller than you?" I'm like, "No, not yet." He says he has poofy hair.
Yeah. Is your wife an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, she did tennis and cheerleading, and she was tall. She's like 5'9".
Oh, there we go.
So.
Oh yeah. I like it. I would like a couple Nadas in there. Are any of them? Are all of them like linemen?
My third one, he's my thicker boy.
Okay.
He's more of a lineman guy. My older two are taller, leaner kids. They might get thicker, but they could be like a DN tight end type body. But my fourth boy, he might be a tank too.
All right.
He's 3.
I like it. We got 4 chances. We got 4 chances here, Bobby.
Sarah, I can just see it now. DeCosta's going to start showing up to Utah youth football games when during his downtime. You watch.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but this is like such a proud moment. Kadri Ishmael's son is coming out for a tryout this weekend.
That is
and I'm
so
like, what's
awesome.
just a proud moment, Look at that.
That is awesome when you can have Raven players that have their kids come back and play.
Yeah.
Here it is. Kadir. Out of Sanford, Kadir Ismail is going to get a chance. So I know Q is all fired up, and we've heard that there were some rumblings of this happening. So it's exciting.
Wait. I got one more question. I saw you already had it, but okay. Yeah. Haloti. Can any of those 4 boys go to BYU? Are we okay with that? Or are you going to be pushing them to Oregon? Can we get them to the Cougars?
They have free reign to go wherever they want.
I'm going to listen. We had Steve Young on here right before the Ravens 49ers game. He dubbed me as an official scout for BYU. So
nice.
I'll come and visit, the boys with coach, and we'll get it going on.
All right. Yeah. They're free to go anywhere they want.
All right.
And needless to say, Sarah's taking the role, Haloti, extremely serious. Needless to say. So there you have it.
All right, Haloti, we appreciate you so much. Yeah. I just love to hear that you're doing great with all the boys out there, living it up in Park City. Do you ski? Up there?
I snowboard. So in the wintertime, I drop off my boys at school and I go to the mountain for a couple hours.
Oh, see, this is why he doesn't want to coach. You're living life right now.
I'm living the life right now. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. Awesome, I love it. Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
Haloti Ngata, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That was really cool stuff, and
love that.
Great job, Sarah, for getting him involved in the show.
Dude, my job's not done until one of those boys first is in a BYU uniform and then a Raven. My job is not done until then.
Oh, that was fun. Look at him back in the day. Number 92, of course, now worn by Justin Madubuike, coming off a big-time breakout season that got him paid. This was fun. That was cool. Go down memory lane.
Yeah.
It was always his entrance too, right?
Dude,
Pointing
that
up to the
tattoo he was just showing us, that's new, because look at these pictures.
yeah,
I don't see it.
yeah. That was I felt. I mean, we all had a great look at his biceps, which we know was A1 position as usual. But we needed to see the man's face.
Could you see that? Could you imagine seeing him come down on a snowboard down the mountains in Salt Lake City, Park City?
You know, I hate to say this, but you want to know who probably could have visioned that? Our buddy that we had over the weekend, RG3, probably has nightmares seeing Haloti Ngata just anywhere coming at him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would have been rough. Well, okay, so from that interview, in addition to hearing how this was just all on the fly, he's like, can I bring up my sons? Do you guys want to say Steelers? Like, that is hilarious that they're on the fly. And, but it was interesting to me that he shares the same concern as all of us, which is like, is this offensive line going to be okay? It's the guys coming up. They're betting on them. Okay. But that he thinks the defense is going to be better. That was surprising to me. Given, as he said, he goes, I know it's crazy for me to say because there's a change at defensive coordinator and you lost, a lot of veterans in free agency, but it's his faith in Roquan and Hamilton. He named Hamilton as like one of the reasons,
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And before I could even get out my entire Madubuike question, he's like, "Oh, I love that. Love that."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's man, that was awesome. Great stuff there.
Yeah.
Haloti's just he's so like I love what he had to say about his boys too. Like he's so fully focused on raising them to be like, responsible citizens. Like I think that's what he's like.
Yeah,
Like
in
good
their
citizens.
good citizens in our community.
Yeah, and it just
Yeah.
speaks to a lot of the things. Now I wasn't here when he was, but I've read up on just the impact that he had on Baltimore's community too with his resources. Special guy. That was really cool. And how funny is it that he lives in Utah now?
Yeah. Well, he
It's
grew
like
up
full
in Salt Lake
circle.
City. Well, he grew up in Salt Lake City. Haloti did. And man, does he lost both of his parents, I think, in high school. Maybe his first one in high school and then his second one during college.
Yeah.
Like he had been through it. Talk about, and so when I remember when we were doing the draft process and we said like the Ravens look for people. Well, they're not only looking for people, but it helps in the recruiting process or in the drafting process to know that you've overcome adversity. And Haloti Ngata had been through it, right?
So we just
before he
talked
got
about over the
drafted.
weekend, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Which
so important.
yeah, which is why it hit a little bit harder that he's like, I'm just enjoying being a dad because he had lost his father.
I got you.
At such a young age. And Bobby, when he was saying all that, it spoke to me. I cannot tell you, when I moved here to Columbus from the Ravens, they offered for me to keep riding late for work. And I could have kept doing that. And originally that was the plan. Like we were going through like negotiations and all that. And I just had out of nowhere such a strong desire and feeling to leave it all behind because I hadn't enjoyed my kids. I had 4 kids while I was working for the Ravens, like just pregnancy after pregnancy after pregnancy. And they were great supporting me through that. And I just felt like I was juggling so much. I was just doing Man of the Crowd and I had late for work and I was editing and I had 4 kids. And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't even care that it's just late for work and I'm getting rid of, 80% of my duties. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And it was like, you called me the day my youngest went into, kindergarten. And I was like, oh, maybe I can pick it up again. But there's nothing. And people ask me all the time, do you miss the Ravens? Do you miss it? Not really when you compare it to what Haloti's talking about. Like as awesome as the Ravens were and as awesome as a good employer that they were, nothing compares to being a mom. Just doesn't even hold a candlestick to it at all. So
can't wait.
Anyway, I just felt that when he said
Can't wait to be able to relate to you both. That was cool though. That was like it was so incredibly genuine. And by the way, as we continue to grow, I think people probably like any chance we get the way we continue to grow to remind everybody what that call was like when I did call you that day prior to starting everything. Sarah was adamant, just in case you haven't heard this before.
Don't say this.
Sarah was adamant that we don't do, let's not go overly intense here. All right. Let's do it a couple days a week. Let's do this, that, and the other.
I literally said we're not doing it daily.
I'm over here like, I just got shown the door in radio. This is my life. Like I got a lot to go. I got a lot of time on my hands. I'm like, okay, well, I really value her and I respect the heck out of her. So, all right, I'll just kind of like play it safe here. Right.
And then like 2 days later, I was like, we got to do daily.
The inner competitor started. It was the way that Haloti reignited the rivalry. Hopefully, I reignited.
Oh, I love that part.
You.
By the way, we got to clip that. We got to put that on Twitter. By the way, that was awesome. Sure. He's like, I needed to revive it. So, are we on the same page? We'll push our AFC North stuff that we're gonna do. We'll do that tomorrow.
Quick hits.
And let's do quick hits. Yeah.
Love it. Yep. So yesterday's Orioles game, big opening series. Opening win of a 4-game series for the O's. Grayson Rodriguez pitched a gem, and look who got to watch it. Of course, this was against the Yankees, by the way, I should mention. So they're going to be going toe-to-toe all year long for the AL East. But Zay Flowers back in Baltimore, spending some time, rocking his – now, wait a second here. That's a winter hat. Do you want to know what the temperature was yesterday?
Oh, well, if it was anything like here, did it hit the 80s?
I love you, Zay, but it was like 90 degrees, and it was humid as all heck. But, hey, that's
90?
that South Florida.
It hit 90 in Baltimore?
It was like I'm pretty sure like the heat. Yes, it was right around that.
Wow. Well, he looks good, though. Look at it. Look at that. He's got the orange stripes and the hat. Matches, obviously, the jersey he's got going on. He's got the chain.
Yep.
It warms my heart to see him in the Orioles gear and just embracing it all. Let's go, Zay.
Love it, Zay. Love it. And he was – popping around and taking selfies with that big contagious smile and saying hello to everybody. So cool little moment there.
Speaking of Zay, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this. Geno Smith, Seahawks quarterback, posted himself throwing passes to a random combo, I guess because they're both from Florida, Antonio Brown and Zay Flowers. Check this out.
Yeah.
So I think this is AB right here first. How old is AB now, by the way?
He's not looking as fast as he once did, though.
No, he's not.
And who the heck is trying to cover him there?
Somebody who still is not as fast. Now is this Zay right here?
Watch the difference between the two of these guys. So there's Geno dropping back. He's got his coaches with him. That's an immaculate field, by the way. And is Zay catching it? Yeah, Zay. Yeah, oh, man, we didn't get to see Zay's speed. No, I would love to see Zay's speed up against AB.
It would have been fun to see that back-to-back. But
Antonio's not looking like he.
I'm going to hear. How old is Antonio Brown?
He's been out of the league for a few years since he literally said peace out mid-game, took off his jersey and pads and left. Shirtless.
But those are two different fields. Zay's on the immaculate field, right? Yeah, so I don't know if this was at the same time.
Good. Keep those two away from each other.
Yeah. Antonio Brown's 35.
Now remember, though, there is a friendship between Lamar and AB because of Marquise and the fact that Marquise and AB are first cousins.
That's right.
So perhaps Zay is in that extended friend group because of the geography of South Florida. So,
probably.
Anyway.
All right.
That was that. Breece Hall, former Iowa State running back. Now he's a star with the New York Jets. So that you got to reference that, though. They're former teammates.
They're whose former teammates?
Before we say this, we need to reference that Breece is an Iowa State guy, as is TJ Tampa.
Right.
So there's a slight little bit of bias, but
I'm just saying he put this out on Friday night.
Yeah. Oh, before it went down, right?
Yeah, before it went down. He's like, he tweets, TJ Tampa going to be the steal of the draft. Y'all don't even know. Yeah, we do know. We're going to know better if he pans out, right? But what did we say? He went 100 spots later than what Mel Kiper had him at.
Yeah. Heavy value there. Heavy value. But Breece is building him up. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. So earlier on in the show, we mentioned right off the top, the breaking news right before we came on was that the Ravens picked up Odafe Oweh's 5th-year option. So that's a price tag of $13.2 million and change for the 2025 season. And Ryan Mick noted, and we talked about this over the weekend, not only did he get a college teammate in Adisa Isaac from Penn State, did Odafe, but remember, he got another high school teammate in Sanusi Kane, who was the 7th rounder, okay, I believe that was out of Purdue, if I'm not mistaken, Sanusi. And then remember that he and David Ajabo are already buds from way back when as well. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, that's like, it's all of Odafe's guys. Is Odafe like, this is probably a question on many receiver hungry fans' minds. It was, um, is he friends with like Brennan Ayuk or with Deebo Samuel or some other top rated wide receiver? Anything going on there? No, that's pretty cool for Odafe.
For sure. The Ravens, just introducing, we know that there's been significant improvements and renovations taking place in and around M&T Bank Stadium this offseason, and the Ravens just gave us a sneak peek of new field seats, like legitimate field level
on
seats.
The field.
Oh yeah, for the audio only audience, check this out, especially at the Ravens Twitter account. But this is part of the, as they say, this is part of the next evolution at M&T Bank Stadium. Not sure we want to know what that price tag is per seat, but
well, I'll tell you,
hey,
you and I will never be sitting in one of those. Here's my question though. Okay, so you've been down on the sideline, right?
Yeah.
So is this right behind the bench?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got to be right behind the bench because like there's that line. It seems like the space. I should probably go and read the article, but the space between the two field kind of seats, they have a space there where it looks like that's where the players go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is
so I mean that's cool that you're right next to the players. I just wonder how you're going to be able to see the game if it's behind. It's got to be right behind the bench.
Yeah, it doesn't specify when you click on the article, but I'm sure they'll have more. Oh, here it is. Let's see.
Yeah, give it to me. Not that I can afford it, but let's
see what this is. Is FS? Is that what it's going for? FFS? I'm looking at the seat map that they provided. If FS is what they're referring to here, it's in front of sections 129 through 134 and 148 through 151 on the opposite side. So
okay, so it's
on
not
the Ravens
directly
side,
behind the bench.
It doesn't look to be because the bench is like midfield, right? So like
right,
maybe the 40 to the 40,
yeah,
right, somewhere within there. It's just off to the side.
So you don't have a seat that's on the 50-yard line, but you're on the field and you're probably, closer to like the 20 or something like that. That's not bad.
You're clean living. You're
living nice.
Yeah. So I'm sure there'll be more information and models like this released as we move forward with what the Ravens have been up to this offseason. And just to reiterate, we're so thrilled for the Ismail family, Kadri's son, Kadir, of course, Q, friend of the show, definitely still involved with Ravens broadcasting at WJZ. We had him on. We tend to have him on, multiple times a year. Former Super Bowl winning Ravens wide receiver. His son Kadir received a mini camp invite for rookies, which is essentially an open tryout for Kadir this upcoming weekend when all rookies report to one winning drive. So he's going to give himself a chance. And I know Kadri and his family are all fired up. And I know you and I speak for both of us when I say, congratulations to the entire family.
That's so cool. It's so cool. It'd be awesome if he were to like, I don't know, make the practice squad or something,
Yep.
That'd be so cool. Like just what a proud dad moment that must be for Q. Although let me tell you something, Q's annoying me right now. Okay. Remember when he was on and he was like giving me a hard time about McDonald's?
Oh yeah.
The one time, dude, he's spamming me on Instagram in my DMs with all these videos of like how bad the food is, how it's prepared. And then, okay, great. I responded. I said, ew, okay, I get your point. But then he kept going with how like America prepares its food, like with everything, like farms and everything. And I'm like, bro, I get the point. Like he just is like it's non-stop spam in Instagram. So I got a bone to pick with him. But I am happy for him.
For those who are missing for those who need the more context here, there was a McDonald's conversation that happened on night one of the draft. So yes.
All right. One last quick hit moving on. So J.K. Dobbins
Let me get these patrons in first. Patrick
Oh,
York.
okay, my bad.
You're good. Patrick York and Sarah Kendall, thank you both for believing in what we're building. Shout out you both. Appreciate you guys. If you guys are interested in doing the same, Patrick and Sarah are signed up for monthly shout outs through Patreon for $4.99. That helps us out on the back end, and we appreciate their support. What you got on JK?
And you
First
know what?
press
I
conference,
have
right?
one more thing to say. What's funny is I do try to eat healthy. I try to exercise, but I know Q's like at another level.
Here we go.
Another level. Here we go. All right. Anyway.
And by the way, just one more thought. I put up an Instagram story of my setup during one of the draft videos.
Yeah.
Or during one of the draft days, and I had like a Kind bar and a Ghost energy drink. Now I recognize that Ghost energy drinks literally are taking legitimately probably days off my life.
I'm gonna give you a hard time for those too. I'm with Q on this one.
As you should. There's only a couple times every single year, typically around primetime games and draft centric stuff, that I'm taking those just to keep going. He DM'd me right when he saw that, and it was just like, again, it was more spam, but it was also like hilarious emojis, like throwing up essentially. So anyway,
let me just give you this as motivation, because my husband motivates me. He went through a residency at Johns Hopkins, okay, where he was working. Bobby, I mean, he'd have 30-hour shifts, and as soon as the 30-hour shift was over, he could come home for 12 hours, then he'd have to go back and do it again. Okay. He never slept. Never once did he drink a drop of caffeine the entire time.
Beast.
He did his residency and his fellowship, a total of 6 there, 3 there, 9 years. Never a drop of caffeine. You can do it, bro.
That's called.
You don't need those energy drinks.
Well, I've never had a sip of coffee in my life, so I definitely.
Oh, there we go. We're on the same page there. Neither have I.
Yeah, I'm like totally with him.
All right. Okay.
And if the Ghost hadn't been given to me for free, I definitely wouldn't even have it. I literally would not even have it, but it's in my friggin' fridge, and I'm like, I don't want to keep staring at this. So I'm gonna put it down.
Yeah. Who am I, though? I just told you how annoyed I was by Q, and then I became Q. But I won't spam you. I promise that. I promise I won't spam
turnaround.
All right. Real quick. J.K. Dobbins had his first press conference with the Chargers. Very happy for him. Some people pointed out his comments. They asked him about reuniting with Roman. And one of our last memories of JK and Roman was JK complaining about not getting the ball in the Bengals game when Huntley was the quarterback in the playoffs. And he's like, I'm tired of holding my tongue. I'm tired of this. Da, 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 da. So that's one of our last memories of his comments on Roman. But let me tell you something, Bobby. New contracts, being away from football will turn everything around. I could become best friends with like an enemy of mine. Not that he was enemies, but anyway, now here's JK speaking glowingly of Greg Roman.
I'm excited. You know, he does a lot of great things, and he's a great person, and we have a great relationship. It's gonna be a fun year. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna do a lot of great things. So I can't wait.
Oh, that's funny. Way to go, JK. Way to go.
Oh, man. I wish him nothing but the best, minus when they play the Ravens.
I miss that guy.
He's such a fun interview, too. He's so full of joy and how can you, he's so full of optimism despite, I saw another quote from him saying, this is when it turns around. I'm going to be so healthy. I'm playing he's just so full of optimism. And I think you have to have that to overcome the amount of injuries that he's had, the adversities that you cannot phase this man mentally. And I respect it so much.
Aaron Brown, we may never know in the live chat who wrote the Fire Greg Roman piece of paper and left it right there in that opening hallway. That is one of the most bizarre. I'll never forget it. That's one of those stories that you just never forget, but we may never get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So
no, this is what will happen. It'll be in 10 years when we have the equivalent of Haloti Ngata coming on and somebody finally spills the beans.
Somebody will spill it because somebody knows within that building.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They know.
Multiple people know. Josina Anderson's leaving CBS Sports. I just saw. So
our girl.
Yeah,
Where's she
going?
If
it's on her timeline or not, but just announced that she is leaving.
Do you think we're a little too small for her to come join the Vault full time?
I think it'd be great to have her on at the very least.
Her.
Check in with her, about the veteran wide receiver market. But
she's one of the best. Yeah.
She's still really, really great that she was willing to come on with us during the
Yeah.
Lamar contract talks.
Oh, we needed that. We
So
needed a therapy session. She gave it to us.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
For sure. So anyway, we went a little long, but deservingly so. Haloti Ngata was fantastic. Great to meet him in my situation. I'd never met him before.
Cool dude.
It's cool for you guys to reunite, and we'll definitely try and pull some of that content for you guys. But with that, we're going to run. Appreciate you for dropping by this Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. It was brought to you by GEHA. That's Government Employees Health Association. We'll be back a little under 23 hours from now with a Wednesday Lunch Hour live stream. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this piece of content, like it on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and check us out in the audio only space wherever you get your podcasts. I always edit that directly after we finish up and get it available to you, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, you name it. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off. We appreciate you guys for hanging with us today. We'll catch up with you